gonna lie, it was something like the female presence in testosterone movie. But you just got to keep your head down and get on with it. There's no changing that kind of environment. And it's sort of like, what did I expect? You know, walking into it. But it was cool, and driving the car was fun. I don't drive in real life, so driving a car full stop was kind of closer to being a grown-up. But yeah, it was a cool experience. I mean, the people who are going to see this film love cars, and you know, I'm not going to lie, it's something which is slightly foreign to me. So I probably should have been more excited about kind of driving the latest Mustang, but really I was like, it's got a wheel and wheels here, and yeah, that was kind of the best I got.
Don't drive out of fear, out of choice, out of police took your license away?
Oh, just by being like a completely inept human at life. I mean, I've lived in California for 2 years. Don't know how I've managed to navigate my way around. So I took my test for the first time. I'm actually moving to New York, so I was like, I'm moving to New York, therefore I'm going to take my driver's test in California, which I failed. So sort of proved the point of...
You're not going to need it in New York anymore.
I know.
Taxis.
I know.
If you didn't use it in California, you're definitely not going to need it anymore.
I know, it's ridiculous. It was kind of one of those, like, quit while you're ahead, but actually, no, you just didn't do it. So...
Did the directors know you didn't drive when you auditioned and when you got the role, or did you ever tell them?
You know, it never really came up, which, you know, it's got to be, I guess now I'm thinking like, oh, maybe the insurance was like, but yeah, we never really spoke about it, and I think in general, they just assumed I was just doing my own thing. I don't know, so with driving, of it all.
What was it like working with Aaron? How's the dynamic right away?
The dynamic was wonderful because we had just done a film in London together for a couple of months. So, and it was actually Aaron who was like, "Would you be interested in, you know, this sort of a film?" And the trepidation I felt about this sort of film was certainly put at ease by the fact that we'd be in it together. And I mean, you're in a car. It's such a claustrophobic place, and it would be sort of awful not to like the person you're with, and I adore him, so it was a good thing.
You said claustrophobic. Are you afraid of heights though, like you are in the movie a little bit?
I am, even though that wasn't actually that high. I was sort of like, whatever, she's a pussy, but no, I certainly would feel very uneasy if I had to jump off something like that. And actually, it's funny because even that sort of, I call it a stunt, even though a lot of friends are working in action films and their stunts are incredible. Mine was literally like, I'm going to fall back off a building. It was really hard because it's not natural, and it's interesting that you do have to be kind of coached to some degree to just like trust in people.
Big trust fall.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Trust fall. Compared to all the other movies you've made, a lot of period pieces, a lot of indies, this is obviously by far a huge studio film, big action. Do those raise different fears in you as an actor, or do you just approach it looking at it from the perspective of character?
I would say, like, you hope the work ethic is going to be the same, whatever film set or TV set you're turning up to. But I think with this, there was certainly like an awareness of the type of film it was, and actually more so than that, the subject matter, because this type of film, I think, the idea of like it's a studio film, it can be anything you want it to be, and you can attempt to make an aspect of it your own. But I think the subject matter of this was actually, you know, cars, full stop, cars. That was something I was like, yeah, am I crazy about that idea? And then knowing that Aaron and I were going to be in it together, understanding more the type of time we could have on it, that was kind of the appeal. But it's certainly a whole different situation in the sense of, you know, there's certainly more people and they've obviously got more money, and there are more days on it. So that certainly makes a difference, but yeah, I mean, it was certainly, it's different to kind of running around the streets of New York and doing that kind of guerrilla style, which is appealing to so many actors, I think, because you can sort of run with it, literally.
Different than just hanging out in Gramercy Park, like that awkward moment.
Yeah, oh
Very
yeah,
good,
yeah, that happened. Yeah, slightly different, and slightly less on the move
Right.
all the time.
Did you want to do more stunt work? Did you catch some kind of like an action movie bug from working on this?
Well, you know, I watched these guys do it, and to be honest, when walking into the project, I was like, I felt a little bit like stunts, you know, I didn't necessarily understand how incredible these guys are in terms of their jobs, and it really is like a dance, you know. I think I had this pre-assumption that it was going to be a very like, that stunts imply just like muscle and kind of strength, and actually you have to be so deft with your moves and extremely accurate, otherwise everything sort of fucks up. So these guys together, you know, watching them practice and watching them, there was one shot where the car had to drive so quick and then go over some traffic, and that was a moment where we all were standing and watching it, and it was like, this could go horribly wrong. And watching the stunt guys kind of, it was a very emotional moment, because it was actually like, we're doing this for the film and it's going to be awesome, and everyone else maybe would use CGI for this moment, but no, we're still going to do it kind of the authentic way, and that was certainly like, oh whoa, this is actually so much more than what I considered kind of just stunt work to be, you know, it's a real art.
So watching some of that play out live, you got to see it obviously on the set, but then watching the final film, like what's the experience like for you, seeing the final product, everything put together in its exciting, entertaining fashion?
Well, first of all, like it was so quick seeing it after, you know, because normally you make something and then 15 years later you're like, oh yeah, I was born then. But seeing it this soon after too, it's still very fresh in my mind. And you know, you don't know how this sort of a film is going to be put together, and you do your work and then you leave it there. And as much as I trusted in my director and Aaron, you don't know who's going to be putting this thing together. So I was pleasantly surprised, and I enjoyed the film, and it was interesting kind of seeing what everyone else had been doing at the same time. But it moves, it's fast, you know, it seems like you're in that car forever, and you kind of are for months on end, and then suddenly, oh, that's just one shot. But I think the landscape looks pretty amazing. I mean, I loved filming in Moab and all around those parts of America. It's extraordinary. So I think the film I liked seeing that in the movie a lot.
What was Scott like as a director?
He was really cool, because I think he understood my reservations or concerns, and he was very, very available and accessible to me personally, I think. Because I don't know if you even saw just then, but when everyone said hi to each other, it was this whole like, hey, hey, and you're like, whoa, is somebody getting hit? But it's just men saying hi. And I think he sort of like will take a moment and like give me a hug, and I don't know, he's kind of, he was very hands-on in that way, and came from this background of stunt work and action, but really, really wanted to find the heart within the story, and was very kind of mindful of that. Yeah. So I like him a lot. He really cares about human beings, which is a lovely thing.
You mentioned the stunt with the car going over the road. Was there any scene that you were involved in that stood out for you as maybe the most fun that you had doing the
Yeah,
movie?
totally. I remember the scene where it's when Julia gets out of the car and lies alongside of it and sort of hits the gas.
Do the hot fuel.
Whole, yeah, that
Yeah.
whole thing. It's the gas, but yeah, that was a great scene, and I think that was because we'd practiced it a lot the day before, and I then felt very comfortable to kind of just go, and your fear is replaced by just exhilaration, and trust again in the people around you. Like, I realized there was a moment where I prematurely tried to get out of the car, and I was like, oh no, I'm attached to a rope, So people have got you covered literally from all angles. And it was fun, apart from like the crazy windburn that you get. It was, that was like a wild, crazy situation, not normal.
Did they have to do a lot of takes of that scene?
We did a few for the different camera angles, and there were obviously moments where like I couldn't reach the nozzle, you know, when that happens. So there were moments like that where it'd be like, oh shit, we have to take it back to the start again. And that is actually interesting. It's a whole idea of, you know, you work with maybe kids or animals, and there's time limit to that kind of thing and limitations with the shoot. But working with cars too, you drive 65 miles an hour all the way down the street. It's like if you mess up, you have to take it right back. So yeah.
How fast were you going exactly during that time?
I think it was around 65 or 70 miles an hour. It was really fast. Yeah. So I think around that.
That's legitimate.
Yeah, it really, really was, and that's something I appreciated too. Is never would they put you in a place of danger, but the guys did say, if you're going to do it, do it.
Right.
Otherwise, it's not going to have the impact, or the effect. So you sort of have to just go along with that.
She is very fearless. I was wondering, do you think that you yourself sometimes in life that if you're gonna do something risky, are you like very cautious and concerned, or are you actually something that you would just go and have fun?
I think the latter. Yeah, I think kind of going out and having fun. Obviously, the difference is her fearlessness is to do with kind of physical things and putting herself in danger physically. But I'd say in a different way, maybe I'm cautious in terms of probably would think twice about getting out of a car and lying alongside of it, and also think twice about why I was in that situation, and like I'm a car dealer, oh shit. But in terms of like life, I think just like following your intuition in terms of artistically is really, really important, because it's better to kind of I think like having a lot of regrets about things you didn't do is worse than kind of having regrets about things you did do. Yeah.
If you're not into cars, what are you into?
I really like books and I really like movies. I love old cinema and new cinema, but I think it's fascinating to kind of see what came before, and I'm very, very happy, like just completely like disappearing into the Criterion collection and never seeing a human being.
It's like opposite of what you play. That's kind of awesome.
But yeah, I think those things are really important. Long walks.
On the beach at sunset
Yeah,
with a dog.
Exactly. I'm allergic to dogs, otherwise maybe like a cardboard cutout or something.
You went to hypoallergenic
Okay,
ones.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have time for one last question?
Was it nice being able to use your British accent in this? Because there's been a few things that have come out where you've had to put on the American accent.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, I kind of wanted to play, I really, really wanted to play her American at first, but then I realized, because there's also, the whole idea of they say, oh, the British accent's so exotic, and when you're British, you're like, is it? It's not at all. To me, kind of an accent from the South is far more exotic, but it was okay. I mean, you don't want to just be like the Brit in an American film. I think that kind of would suck, which I guess maybe happened in this, I don't know. But yeah, it was nice. It certainly gives you like a freedom to make choices that are informed by your culture, whatever. Yeah.
One less thing they have to think about. The American
Yeah,
accent.
exactly. Just focus on the driving.
Right.
Thank you so much,
Congrats on it.
everyone.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Nice to meet you.
Have a nice day.
You
You
too.
too.